All right, during the Caldor fire, yeah, it was pretty depressing actually after the whole Corona thing. But you know what? El Dorado County is getting $10.8 million for restoration. That includes the mosquito fire as well. But anyways, I was thinking, you know, how about a little hope? Let's look what we have to look forward to instead of looking at what we lost. And part of that is looking at a project that was done in Portugal where they went in and planted massive trees right after, well, right after a major fire, and then came back 6 years later to see how it had reforested. Let's take a look. And remember, there's always hope.
And see how they've recovered. Before the fire, this area here had some lovely junipers and a few small trees that unfortunately burned down. And as you can see, they haven't managed to return. We found no real signs of their recovery. Instead, we have these plants called giesta, or Portuguese broom. They're the pioneers of this region and will dominate this area here for a long time, before any tree can find enough space to settle naturally.
Yeah, I remember when we were here the first time, it looked like the moon, if the moon was black. Like the ash was just so dark. I mean, it was a bit like you walked into a fireplace. I mean, do you remember, Tom, how that felt? Like it was also really so warm. It was one of those classic Portuguese days with 40-degree weather.
Yeah, I remember it very well. It's almost unrecognizable.
The voice you hear is Tom, who works with us as a videographer. But back then, he was not yet a part of Mossy Earth. He was just a friend who came along to take these beautiful photos. This first part of the trail descends to a river in a narrow valley. The fire actually managed to impact both sides of the stream here, but the temperatures must have been lower because a lot more survived here.
And here near the river, actually was one of the places where when the fire first came through, it didn't burn all the trees, and you can see that's where we still have some of the tall trees, which are a mix, I think, of ash mostly. It's looking really good now that a lot of the other vegetation has come back.
And with the new vegetation, we also saw the return of another species, the hiker. Normally, I'm not one for busy trails, but given how sad and empty the place was after the fire, this was really nice to see. As the trail switched back and climbed, I finally got to some areas that I had never seen before, with a different form of regeneration. I know these as stivers, or in English, gum rock.
It's funny, as I was riding corral the other day, I could see this giant stripe of green re-emerging from the earth. Sure, it's just the underbrush, but still amazing to see it against the black there.